everyone, a very warm welcome to a special episode straight from the south of France. I'm at the Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity 2022 and I have a very, very special guest with me. It's a guest I've interviewed over the years several times, but every time I meet him, he has something new to offer, something very insightful and very, very creative. One of the best marketers in the world that I have actually interviewed, and I'm happy to be interviewing him again right here in Cannes after a 3-year sabbatical. Is none other than Rajamannar, the Chief Marketing Officer of Mastercard. Thank you so much, Raja.
Thank you.
It's been overdue, this interview. And while the world has been, suffering 2 arduous years, I've seen that you've been even more productive in these 2 years than the rest. Well, all of us have been working from home and chilling. You've actually got out and written a book.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about it and how you managed to, navigate the pandemic with your role and write a book.
Actually, pandemic taught me something about productivity because most of my time is spent on traveling. Suddenly, when you're not traveling and doing all Zoom calls and Teams calls, there's a ton of time available on hand, really speaking, without losing productivity. So what do you do with this time? Whether you'd watch Netflix, Amazon Prime, or all this entertainment stuff. But I thought I'd actually write a book. And it was brewing in my mind that marketing is changing so dramatically.
Absolutely.
And we need to reinvent marketing because the current ways of doing marketing will just not work. They're already failing in a big way. So I started writing, thinking about that book. And I spoke with one of the publishers and they said, yeah, this is a great idea, go for it. And they said, you have to do it probably in a few months, 1.5 years is actually the time they gave. So I started actually walking every day, thinking of one chapter, and I will dictate that chapter into my iPhone.
Wow.
Into a software, and then by the time I come back, I just leave it, go for a bath, come back to the thing. It's already transcribed, the software. All I am then doing is editing the chapter. So that way, in 3.5 weeks, I could complete the book. The first edit, what do you call it?
In 3.5 weeks?
3.5 weeks. The first edit got done. And the manuscript that I submitted, of course, then we had to go through various substantiations and references. That took a little while, and publishing industry is not the fastest, so they took their own time and prioritization and all. But at least I'm glad that the book has been published last year in February. It has become a Wall Street Journal bestseller, which is gratifying to me, my first book. It has been translated to 11 languages around the world already in the short 15 months now.
Wow.
And it has won 6 awards, and what is most gratifying to me is about 225 colleges around the world and universities, some of them top universities, have adopted my book as the framework of how marketing has to be taught in MBA programs and in management development programs for the future. So, call it a cheap thrill, but that's what exactly it is.
I don't know if it's a cheap thrill, but you're definitely a super achiever compared to all of us lesser mortals who would rather watch Netflix and Amazon Prime and lead our lives and do something so amazing. So many congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
But I want to segue into what you just said about how marketing has become so complicated and people are trying different things, but I'm not sure what is working and what is the consumer resonating with. So, while everybody is ramping up their efforts to try new things, even in Cannes you see the, Web3, metaverse, NFTs, like, wow, I feel I'm at a tech conference really and not a creativity conference. Give me a sense of what you're seeing, with all this new tech and brands jumping onto the bandwagon. In the medium and long term, do you actually see consumers connecting so much with brands and doing so much with, we do have lives as well beyond engaging with brands.
See, I think you hit the nail on the head. Consumers are not waking up every day and thinking about any brand. They're thinking about their lives.
Yeah.
And the brand has to enable and facilitate it in the most non-intrusive and non-annoying fashion. Now what happens is when technology keeps developing, it gives you more and more ability to reach consumers, to engage them, to put things. So every turn that the consumer takes, there is a touch point because of the Internet of Things and wearables. Consumer is totally connected, always on. So you can always reach the consumer in the right context and so on. But if you overdo it, which we are already overdoing at this point in time, consumers are put off. So if you look at the ad blockers, 600 million plus consumers already have blocked off advertisers by installing ad blocks on their mobile devices.
Wow.
right? A lot of people are actually moving away, and this is like 200 million plus people just for Amazon, but just for Netflix alone, who have moved out of a regular television or other kinds of video into ad-free Netflix offerings. So more than 1 billion hours of time is consumed on those ad-free heavens, literally I would say. So when people are moving in this direction, we need to rethink. Technology gives you enablement, but how do you leverage it smartly on the one hand, on the other hand, in a way that is most interesting and engaging for the consumer without really making them freak out. Like if you're trying to snoop them around, you just look at something here, in 2 minutes an ad shows in front of you, you're spooked and you say, look, this looks a little creepy, and is there a big brother kind of a thing? So you have to be very thoughtful, it's a balancing act. Now the point is, marketers have lost out big time in the mid-1990s in terms of the seat at the table, because a lot of marketing started moving into the technology field, and marketers are typically hardwired on the right brain. They are creative, intuitive, aesthetic, artistic sensitivity, judgment, gut feel. But science, data, all these are on the left brain.
Sure.
So most of the marketers naturally gravitated in the creative areas. They lost out when the whole world started becoming technologically savvy. Then what happens now? The number of technologies which are coming at us are more than 24. 24 real powerful technologies like AI, AR, you're talking about the metaverse, the blockchain, the cryptocurrencies,
Yes.
autonomous driving vehicles, smart speakers, wearables. All this combination of these is going to be crazy. Each technology is independently capable of disrupting. The coming together of these 24 technologies is going to be totally disruptive at an unprecedented level. Most of the theories, most of the frameworks and strategies of marketing that we have been practicing till yesterday will not work in this new area. And that's what I call as the fifth paradigm. The new era of marketing is the fifth paradigm. You need to reinvent marketing. That's where quantum marketing is the way that you actually do it. Now the point is, you need to understand in this new age technologies quite well. Otherwise what happens, it looks like a nice magic box, and everything is a magic box. Something goes in, something comes out. You depend on this something that's coming out as being authentic, truthful, etc.
Yeah.
But unless you understand this box itself, it's garbage in, garbage out. That's where most of the marketers will fall into the trap of.
Right.
As an example,
Yeah.
every single vendor who comes to me today and pitches, so my solution is powered by AI. Now, most of the people, they say, okay, powered by AI, very good, and you leave it at that. Now, I'm a little bit nerdy and geeky, so I actually did a course on AI. And I took a lot of mentoring sessions from my head of AI, artificial intelligence at Mastercard, and talked to professors. No, nobody can really pull wool over my eyes as it pertains to AI. So when they say it's being powered by AI, I said, just explain to me how exactly. Oh, sir, I'm not fully competent or conversant with it. Let me have a technical person. The technical person knows the technology, but doesn't know how the data flows, what exactly happens and all that. 99% of the cases, I find that it is actually faulty. So what happens is when these technologies are coming, on the one hand, it's a big threat to marketers who don't upgrade their skills and understand. On the other hand, it's also a boon for marketers because firstly, cost of doing business comes down, cost of doing marketing comes down big time. Like for example, if you have to create a campaign, if it is not 100% original, but you're repurposing a campaign, you're taking some past ideas and clubbing them together in a sensible way, AI can do it for you in a matter of few seconds.
Okay.
Today, the agencies will take a lot of time,
Yeah.
and there is expense. This costs me pennies, and I just get it so quickly. So there is efficiency, both cost efficiency and time efficiency, and it's also effort efficient, which is terrific. But on the other hand, what happens is when this kind of a technology is available for everyone, the competing field becomes very level. That's where creativity should come up. Unfortunately, right now, marketing is getting carried away by this technology
Yes.
and leaving creativity behind it. That's the example of what you are seeing here.
Absolutely.
Right? I think marketing...
It's mind-boggling.
Totally, totally. And that's where marketing has to get back into that balancing act. You need the creativity, you also need the science, technology, and data. It's a balancing act, easier said than done though.
Let me deep dive a little bit on this NFT bit, which is trending.
Right.
Every marketer is talking about NFTs. Every marketer is talking about doing something in the metaverse. Can you dumb it down for me and my audience on why would a consumer buy an NFT? I know your statement in the past initially when you said that, you know, which idiot is going to buy an NFT? And I actually quite agree with you, but obviously you've understood why. So explain it to me.
Yeah, see, firstly, it's a little bit of a confusing concept, right?
Yes.
And let me try to simplify it. So today you go to, say, Louvre Museum.
Yeah.
You see Mona Lisa, which costs, probably it's priceless. Okay, millions, whatever dollars it is. When you come outside, there are replicas of that on a piece of paper.
Right.
Depending on the quality of the paper, the size, the quality of printing, you're willing to pay for it.
Right.
You know it is a replica, it is not the original, but still you buy it. Think of that psychology.
Okay.
So particularly for the newer generation, for them the originality has a value.
Okay.
The authenticity has a value.
Okay.
So if this particular tweet was the first one that originally was created by Jack Dorsey, I would like to buy it for $2.8 million, which is where it actually sold at. Because there is
The
a
first tweet of
pride
Jack
of
Dorsey.
ownership. First tweet of Jack Dorsey. That tweet is there everywhere. You can see it. But what you have and other people don't have is a digital certificate. The digital certificate tells you you are the authentic and the original owner of this particular tweet, and everybody else there has got a copy. So there is a bragging value there. It's a badge value. I have these originals. Like how many people today in India, if you say, oh, I have an MF Hussain original, or I have got Souza original, there is a pride of that original stuff. There is a tangibility. But in the digital world, there is not that kind of a tangibility, but the originality can still be established.
And who is the issuer of the certificate?
So here is the thing, there are trusted parties. So for example, if there is, say, one of the painters who is actually releasing the NFTs, that painter has to be dealing with a company which is a trusted authority. So tomorrow if Raja comes and says, oh, I'll give you a certificate, it's like me going and selling Charminar to someone and say, yeah, go ahead and buy this Charminar and here is a certificate from Raja which has zero value. So what happens is, it is not in this case a centralized trust, but there is something called decentralized trust. That's what the blockchains are all about. So it's the whole community which validates that this is an authoritative, authentic piece.
Let's just go back to that example because
Yes.
it is a crazy example. Let's say I had $2.8 million. I probably will never have it in this lifetime. And I bought this Jack Dorsey's original tweet.
Right.
So what? What am I going to do with it?
You will not, there are multiple things you can do with it.
Okay.
So firstly, you will put it all over wherever you can advertise if that's what you are seeking. If you are seeking badge value, you say, I have the original Jack Dorsey tweet. That in itself will satisfy your purpose. The second person says, I'm an investor. So today maybe Elon Musk is coming with his, that has gone to $6 million. Maybe Jack Dorsey will go to $3.5 million. So it's a trading. So actually NFTs are traded very actively. So that's the second part of it. The third part of it, what you do is basically when you look at any of these NFTs, you try to add value to it, to something else that you're doing. So what I'll tell you, for example, if you have gone to a particular match, say a football match, you go to the football match and then a lot of people, for UEFA Champions League, for example, they preserve the ticket, they frame them, they put them on their Instagram and Facebook or wherever else they would want
Right.
it. So they say this is something which is there. Now what you do, if you look into the psychology as a restaurant, you say, okay, if that's what is happening, I create an exclusive restaurant and I sell NFTs. The NFT is a pre-reservation ticket, for example, which not only gives you access to my restaurant, maybe it will give you a priority reservation because it's prepaid, for example, in this case. Or you can actually gift it to someone and we will do something extra for those people. Like, we'll put a birthday cake and do some celebration or whatever else it is. So what restaurants are actually doing, it's one of the biggest use cases, they're using it as an entry pass and a value added entry pass. So they differentiate between somebody who is buying with an NFT versus somebody who is actually buying a real, walking in, making a reservation, walking in and eating their meal and then going without anything to
But
show.
obviously the person who has the NFT is paying more.
May not necessarily.
Oh.
If the hotel wants to or the restaurant wants to pre-book everything, they might actually sell it at a discount. It doesn't have to be more. Pricing is one aspect of it. The value adds around this NFT are very, very important. Another example, today if you have got, say, a marriage contract. So in many countries there is a legal document to say you're married to so-and-so, etc. You have got a physical paper and there is a digital record of it here. Why do you need that physical paper? Tomorrow it will be an NFT. And that NFT is immutable, which means it cannot be changed, it cannot be tinkered with. So there is a permanency to that. Unlike a regular digital asset, Like you have something, I can take it and I can Photoshop it and I can put it and make it look as original, as authentic stuff. Here it doesn't happen that way because the whole community keeps validating this is the original one or not, and it timestamps it. So that's what you call as a blockchain. You create a block with this NFT. Then any alteration, any modification on this comes as the next block. The next block is in full view of the participants in the entire ecosystem.
Okay.
So if it is not authentic, the whole community will jump to say this is not authentic. So you preserve the authenticity of the original.
So where do brands come in here?
Or lots. So for example, if you are selling Louis Vuitton bags,
Yeah.
how can you ensure that this is original as opposed to made in some place and
China.
selling on the pavements of say Manhattan, right? In the olden days, we used to have holograms. Now you have got, imagine this NFT is a digital hologram of authenticity. And it's a brilliant thing. So when you talk of provenance, that's what it is called, establishing the originality. You're buying organic food. You go into Whole Foods or whichever is the shop. How do you know this is organic and not?
I don't, yeah.
So with the blockchain, you are able to actually see which farm it got it grew in, when was it picked or harvested, what was the journey from the farm all the way to the shop shelf. You can track the entire journey. Now what happens, firstly as a consumer, that's authenticity for you.
Yeah.
So if you're a wholesale, Whole Foods, which is the brand you're talking about, they say mine is all absolutely blockchain verified. So there is a believability in the originality or the authenticity of what you're doing.
Okay, so what I'm understanding from what you're saying is there are two things. One is, of course, NFTs being used as an authentic stamp.
As one representation of one use case.
Yes. And the other is what was earlier looked at as nostalgia, as collectives,
Yes.
is now being given a value and can be traded.
It can be traded, and it's in the digital realm. It
Yes.
can also be a hybrid.
Right.
So you got a real piece of land or a real house, and you got an NFT corresponding to that as well. So it's not just only digital. It can be digital plus hybrid and physical, which is hybrid as well.
Okay. And how is it personalized? I believe it's all very personal to an individual, right?
Correct.
Give me an example of how brands are launching NFTs and people are crazy enough to buy them and trade them. It's a very new generation. And my adjoining to that is, while there's so much of tech advancement, the paying consumer is an older consumer who is not as tech savvy and not as filled in as, let's say, the younger generation who may be very, very tech savvy but don't have money. So who are we catering to?
So two things I'll say.
Yeah.
The second one first. It's shocking to see how many people into their late 40s, late 50s actually do this NFT trading.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You call it cryptocurrencies, you got cryptocurrencies. There are a lot of people who are investing in bitcoins of the world and in all the stable coins and free floating coins.
Yeah.
There is a huge population out there. These are not youngsters. One of the significant use cases for these cryptocurrencies is to buy NFTs. They are investing in NFTs. They are trading NFTs. Even people who are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they also are seeking badge value. And they also want to seem hip. And so I'm youthful. I may not be young, but I'm youthful in my approach. So it's an image statement that they're making. Now the youngsters, you'll be surprised at the level of their purchasing power. So every NFT doesn't have to be $2.8 billion.
Yeah, of course.
Now I put the cover of my Turkish edition of my book, Quantum Marketing. I made it an NFT just as part of my learning process. I put it. In a few minutes, it got picked up for $2.
Really?
Somebody bought it for $2, right? I said, okay, fine, that's whatever it is. But the key thing is, I don't know if that individual will ever have any utility with it. And I don't know why the person even bought it. But well, they have their own reason. Fear of missing out. Maybe who knows, today paid $2, tomorrow it might become $3. There'll be some other guy or girl who will buy it from me. What will be the motivation? So they keep doing it, So that's one kind of a thing. So NFTs can be low value as well. They don't have to be high. And you see tons of youngsters. In fact, for example, there are brands like, if you look Gucci, they have released shoes and bags, right? The bags, for example, in real world were $1,600 bags. Exactly the same thing in an NFT world were selling around $4,000 because those NFTs were numbered and they were limited. So there is a scarcity or a paucity which is created, and people want to be in that. They don't want to miss out. So 4,000 for a bag that doesn't exist, and $1,600 for a real bag that you can use it and show off more often.
It's really, I'm not able to comprehend it because there's no material that I'm actually receiving.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's in the
right.
digital realm.
Yes.
And people are willing to pay money and have this.
Absolutely.
It's a strange world.
Yes. Shoes. Nike has done it. Adidas has done it. It's like $10,000 for a pair of shoes, which you can never wear, and they are there only in the metaverse, so to speak, in that ether. And so tons of examples. Like in companies like, for example, at Mastercard, we have done something interesting.
Yeah.
So we created in a metaverse-based experience of the consumers to walk through the Grammy Awards. So we sponsor Grammy Awards. We've been doing it for the last 15 years. So when people are normally, when we have in the real world, we get our clients or the guests, they walk on the red carpet. Of course, they are dressed at their best selves. They stand in front of step and repeat, take a photo, go attend the concert from the best seats, meet and greet with your artists, get some signed memorabilia, and then you go. So we said, how can we take this entire thing into metaverse? So metaverse, when you look at that, it's not just Oculus where you put that heavy thing on your head. It can also be on your simple phone. It doesn't have to be worn on your, it doesn't have to be wearable, right? So we created this entire experience where you first create an avatar, and then you buy items for dressing up that avatar, and you can dress in layers. So you have a shirt, on top of it you have a jacket, you have a tie or whatever, whether it's man or woman, they have layers of clothing designed, of course, by a special designer. So you do that, and then you walk on the red carpet. Virtually. You stand in front of the step and repeat, your photo gets taken, then you proceed, you watch the whole concert from a prime camera view. After that, you go backstage and meet with the avatars of our brand ambassadors and take selfies with them. And each one of these photos is an NFT. The entire video is an NFT.
Which you can trade.
You can trade if you want, if there is some buyer, yes,
yeah, okay.
Absolutely, up to you. And then you do that stuff, and then it's so a lot of fun for these kids, and not only kids, but so normally, for example, in the physical world, if I am taking experience, say giving it for 10 people, this time I could get it done from 260 people. It's like 26 times more scalability wise. And there are people who are taking the Grammy red carpet walk, not just in the US, but from Brazil and from Australia, from all over the world. So what it does is it gives you, so now when I look at Mastercard's strategy as one of experiential marketing is our primary route, what happens is I'm curating experiences for you that are unique to me or to my brand, and you can experience them from anywhere in the world. And by the way, guess what? The incremental dollars I have to spend for this metaverse experience is a tiny fraction more than what I would spend for the real entire experience. So just a small increment, I'm expanding the scale by 10 times. What's wrong with that?
So, Raja, I understand your point that there is an incremental increase for a marketer to do this whole thing. So for marketers, actually, it's quite smart. It's a very big revenue source with just an incremental increase in cost.
Correct.
But for a consumer, and from where I'm standing, playing devil's advocate, you're paying so much more for nothing physically in return.
That's where it is, right? If you look at it as I'm paying for nothing, there is no value exchange, then it is a complete waste of money. And exactly that was the frame of mind I was in till I started diving into it. And I made that comment actually. I said, which idiot would like to buy an NFT?
For sure.
Right? Because I don't see any value and it's all digital and everyone can have it. But when I started looking and talking to these folks, there is some amount of sense in it. They see value, and to the extent of that value that they perceive, they're willing to put the money down. So, like for example, in the olden days, even now, there are these gaming cards, like MLB, if you have Major League Baseball, they all have got cards of the variant. They collect the cards and then they trade the cards. Some of the cards sell for thousands of dollars because they have gone out of circulation. So those cards are totally useless for anything else other than to say, I have got this card.
Sure, yeah.
This is exactly the same thing, same psychology, extended at scale. The madness pervades a lot bigger audience, and it's in the digital space. It's pretty fascinating.
It is, and so my next question to you, and I want some consumer insight, looking at how we're designing this and looking at the kind of tech that's going into just having badge value, right? Because everything you've just told me basically is badge value and no real utility, so to speak, right? Would you say that consumers are more and more looking for badge value, and looking at status as we go deeper into the future?
See, in every domain, there are folks at scale who want a badge value in that domain. That's absolutely there. There's no question about it. Everyone wants to feel good, and everyone wants to state that they're actually
Wear on their sleeve, basically.
Exactly. So they're that. That's number one. Number two, in addition to the badge value, as I said, you see a lot of these kids are actively trading NFTs. Not only kids, but I'm talking about across the entire spectrum. They are trading. They are making money. If you look at not just NFTs, but look at the entire space of Web3,
yeah,
people are actually getting paid to play. And for Philippines, it's interesting to see that the amount of money which is actually being paid to these players, and these are all like people like you and me who are not gaming experts,
yeah,
but they're just playing, and if you pay for so many hours and achieve these many levels, you get paid by advertisers and by other participants and so on. So you make money. The money that is made out of play to pay, this is more than the inward remittances that are happening to Philippines by all the people who are working around the world. So Philippines is a major export market, like in terms of talent,
sure,
just like say Kerala is. The inward remittances into Kerala are huge.
Yeah.
Imagine in that context, the inward remittances into Philippines are actually now being beaten by the playing for pay. It's becoming that serious. The gaming industry is crazy. Now, gaming again is not young teenage nerds, boys. You have got gaming like Candy Crush, which women even in their 50s are happily sitting and playing for hours together, right? And they buy accessories. There is commerce that is happening in the gaming world. So gaming is a big part of this entire space. Then immersive experiences. Now in the olden times, we used to have Second Life and all those kind of platforms which are there. These are all on steroids and so immersive, and the killer apps that are coming. Like for example, there is one which is called Saber Tiger or Saber something. I can't exactly remember what the title is in Oculus Quest 2. So there, it's actually a health application. It tires you out. You're playing the game, you're moving and all that. You're sitting and you're ducking something coming at you. It gives you a serious exercise. Health applications are becoming a killer app in the metaverse. Gaming, of course, is the biggest one out there in that space. Now, I attended a couple of trials of having team meetings in the metaverse.
Yeah, how's that?
Extraordinary.
Really?
Extraordinary, because they cracked the code of spatial sound. So for example, I had my first meeting with a few folks from outside. So you suddenly pop in there, for the first few minutes it feels very odd.
Like you can see yourself entering.
You don't see yourself, but you see everyone else.
Oh, okay, so it's your POV.
My POV. So I'm there and there is a table, there's beautiful setting all around you, there are people sitting left, right. So when you look at the person to the right, that person actually knows that you're looking at him or her and looks back. You can both do hi-fi.
And you
virtually, you don't feel that they're working on this haptics as they call it, but you do it, there is sparkles that comes on the screen. Saying that this is a hi-fi, right? So stuff like that, and you can see, who is exactly speaking with you. It's amazing. So in fact, one of the things is Zoom has changed how we do meetings.
Sure.
This is taking it 10 levels beyond. 10 levels beyond. The ability to write things on the board. So there is a board that you can just get up to and then write that. It was so real. After some time, when I took it off, it felt that was actually a wonderful place to be in. It was great, very, very productive. So it's stuff like that is one more thing. Training and development. So there are, for example, doctors who are being trained to cut the body dissection in metaverse. And I've seen one demo, very realistic. So with the combination of 5G is almost instant transmission of signals. There is no latency. So when you move your hand here for the scissors there moves in the real time almost exact. So you don't see a time lag. So without that latency, so-called, it feels extremely realistic and gives such a great training for people.
Yeah.
I have conducted one conference only for 3 people in addition to me, just as a trial, and demoing them something and then sharing some Mastercard offering. It was so real. They said, Raja, this is very, very powerful. 3 people from 3 different parts of the world. So I think there is a lot of, that's a commercial application as one thing, for example, right? So there's so many things. Today, if you look at the avatar in this particular space, it looks, particularly I'm talking about Oculus Quest 2, it looks very unreal. But if you go to Roblox and Unreal Engine, you can make the avatar look just like you. Very realistic, and they call it Unreal Engine 5 right now. Extraordinary. So if you look at entire Web3, the possibilities are immense. And of course, there is cryptocurrencies, which is another big thing. It keeps going through the bubbles of volatility and all that. But then that's a gigantic area you cannot neglect. So between cryptocurrencies, blockchains with distributed ledgers and stuff like that, and then you got NFTs, and then you got metaverse. It's a very rich area to play in.
Absolutely. You know, I want to talk about how Mastercard has suddenly become, you know, a music company. You've released 10 new singles.
Correct.
Yeah, with several artists. Just give me the thought process, and how do you feel this exercise will, you know, energize and engage your consumers?
Exactly. You're asking the same question which my board of directors asked me.
Oh, okay.
So it's a rehearsed answer, right? And it worked, so I could get away. So the point is, today, there are a lot of environments where consumers either don't have a visual real estate that they're looking at, or they are not able to give you that visual attention. People are blessed with 5 senses. As marketers, we rely overly on the visual sense.
Yes.
So we said if you look at things like smart speakers, Internet of Things, and wearables, there is no visual real estate. As a brand, if you have to show up, you need to have a sonic identity.
Yeah.
So we launched that about 4 years back. And we started doing it very methodically. It's not just a jingle, or it is not just a sound at the end of your advertisement like what Intel had done very successfully. But this is a 10-layered architecture with the different elements, very scientifically studied, and trying to find out what kind of a feeling and emotion does this particular sound, that this particular note, this particular beat actually gives in you.
Okay.
We created a melody for Mastercard, which we call it Sonic Melody. That is the first layer. Then that layer, that Sonic Melody, is now in all our ads, it plays in all our videos, it plays as a ringtone on our employees' phones, and it's a music on hold when somebody calls a Mastercard office. So we're putting it everywhere we can. Second layer, a subset of that, which is only 3 seconds, is our sonic signature. We end every single one of our advertisements with that, just like Intel used to do.
Sure.
The third layer is each time you use your Mastercard at a point of sale, upon the successful completion of the transaction, you hear the sound of Mastercard. Now 260 million points of interaction around the world already have a Mastercard acceptance sound, which actually increases the satisfaction level for the consumers and for the merchants.
Sure.
So it's pretty fascinating. So between these 3, Mastercard has leapfrogged to the #1 position as the world's #1 audio brand. For 3 years in a row, we have been rated that. So which is fantastic, 3 out of the 4 years. Now, how do you make sure that people recognize this Mastercard melody? So we got a very simple model. Firstly, keep playing the melody. But to play the melody, you need to have a context.
Yes.
And I don't have enough amount of budget to show advertisements to such an extent where you will see enough of my ads to be able to register my sounds.
Yeah, yeah.
So the other way is find out where you are today. Instead of putting ads, you listen to music. Everyone listens to music. Can I put my melody in your music? Everyone will say, we are not going to do it. So we said, let's create our own music. But these should be real popular songs. They're not corporate anthems.
Yeah, okay.
If it's corporate anthem, you'll immediately puke.
Absolutely.
So you don't want to do that. You have to make sure that this is something which is interesting, exciting, etc. So we created one song for Latin America called Dance Freak. We took an up-and-coming group called Domino Saints, and we launched it. Guess what? It has become #1 of the charts in 5 countries in Latin America. And it was a top 5 in the top 20 markets in Latin America. So it was a popular hit. Now, we don't say this is from Mastercard, so there is no association.
Oh.
This is about recognizing the sound.
And then automatically registering.
Over a period of time, there is an association that will happen with Mastercard, and there is an attribution which happens. So when you think of Mastercard, you think of the melody. When you hear the melody, you think of Mastercard. That's what we call attribution. But right now, we're the familiarization of the melody itself.
But why would popular artists want to work with a brand and incorporate their sonic branding into theirs? What is in it for them?
Oh, it's in it for them basically because we give them a massive distribution around the world. So for example, if you look at Domino Saints, they would not have been able to go to so many markets like we have been able to. And nobody will pick them up because they're up and coming. They don't have the platform, and that's exactly what we are creating. We are creating a platform for upcoming artists to really release their songs. So what we tell them upfront, it has to have the Mastercard melody that is recognizable, and then go and release it. So in that context, two interesting things happen. So firstly, we worked with one of the top composers and producers in the world called Nicholas Molinda from Sweden. He works with all the big name artists, all the A-star artists. So he created 10 songs for us. And he found the artists who have got talent but don't have a platform.
Okay.
So for example, there are a couple of Arabic songs in this album. There is a French song. So we took it across the world. So it covers multiple countries in the world. When you're talking these 10 songs and the album is called Priceless, they're all excited because for them we said it's not creativity for creativity's sake, but there's creativity linked to a purpose.
Sure.
In this case, it is the brand purpose. And they find, because we had done so much of research into creating that melody, it's a very simple melody with a ton of flexibility. So it's not like straight-jacketed and very constrained to do anything of that sort. So they can go free with it as much as they would want to. So in fact, when you listen to all our songs, you find no one song is similar to the other song. But they all have the Mastercard melody embedded in them beautifully. So that's what we have done. We also released some songs individually as singles. One in Turkey, became a top of the charts in Turkey. We released one in Russia, became top of the charts in Russia. So what happens is now we are getting to the consumers' hearts and minds through a completely different medium, which is the medium of music, and through the years.
But tell me, Raj, I have a very, very basic question to ask you as a layperson. Let's say, okay, over a period of time, the efforts that you've put in for sonic recognition actually works, and that correlates, right? Which is your end goal.
Correct.
Let's say that happens. How is it converting to business?
Beautiful. So one of the key things is we have got a risk of brand disintermediation. Payments have to be more and more in the background as opposed to the foreground.
Okay.
People are already migrating big time from a physical plastic to a digital phone or wearable or whatever it is. If I don't show it in front of the consumers in some form or the other, I'll keep receding into the background. I cannot afford to do that. I have to stay top of the mind, and I want to be one of the best brands in the world. Our aspiration, we want to be a top 5. So we are at number 12 now globally, right? We came from 87 all the way down to number 12 at this point in time, which is fantastic for us as a journey. What happens is when you start actually associating Mastercard with all the priceless experiences we are curating and all these fun things that we're doing, whether it is NFT, metaverse, or you're talking music and all that stuff, there is a tremendous amount of involvement and engagement with the brand. And people, when they are offered a Mastercard, they'll say, yeah, I know this brand, I would like to have it. Or people actually, more interestingly, they demand for the brand. So that is the direction that we want to move in. Today, very realistically, most of the times you don't ask for a Mastercard brand. You go to your bank and whatever the card the bank gives, you just take it, right? So, but that we want to change the dynamic and create the pull. And the beauty is we are actually seeing that pull happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, one of the priceless dimensions we have is, for example, priceless causes. So we have got a program with Stand Up to Cancer. Each time you use your Mastercard during the period of promotion, we contribute a part of our proceeds to a foundation called Stand Up to Cancer Foundation, which invests that money for finding cures for cancer and getting them all the way to FDA approval.
Sure.
We got 8 drugs that have been FDA approved, enabled by Mastercard's funding and our efforts and collaboration. When people know that, and they do know, they say, look, this brand is doing something good. I would much rather be here. Because without putting any money from their pocket, just by using this card versus some other card, they're making a difference, why not? So our likewise Priceless Planet, this is all about planting trees. We say you use your card, each time you use a card, we plant a tree. So that seems to be very meaningful, and also it sort of frees you a little bit of your guilt of spending as well. So you say I'm doing something good, even as I'm indulging myself. So we sort of track this entire range of emotions and then figure out where we can authentically be present. So consumers actually started demanding our product, and that's a very positive change for us.
But Raja, given the kind of explosion of UPIs, wallets that we're seeing, right, and also people using it thanks to the pandemic, it's all been it's been got a big impetus. Why isn't Mastercard launching its own UPI or launching its own wallet, or going that route?
So here is the thing. Mastercard looks at itself as an enabler of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
We're all about connecting people for value transfer, data transfer, money transfer, call it whatever it is, or experience between various parties that are involved. So where we see an opportunity to differentiate ourselves, we try to do it there. So we're adding value to the process. We try to take friction away. We are bringing more trust to the field. We bring better security to the transaction. And if we can do it better than somebody else, why not do it? And if we are on parity with somebody else, then the challenge comes back to marketing. If there is product parity, how do we ensure superiority? By the surround systems that we can give, which makes it worthwhile for consumers to move. So whether it is building a new network in a new ecosystem, or it is partnering with somebody. So not everything we do it by ourselves. Many of these are also in partnership. Like most recently, for trading of NFTs, we announced a partnership with Coinbase, where today, I don't know, if you ask any ordinary person, they will tell you how horrible it is to try and buy or sell an NFT. So to just give you a gist, I have to first go to a website which sells me cybercurrency or cryptocurrency. I have to open an account, link my bank account to this particular account, transfer money, buy cryptocurrency. Then I go to another website and create a wallet, like a website like MetaMask, create a wallet. Then I have to link these two, the cyber account with the Meta wallet, with the wallet. Then I go to another marketplace, which is like OpenSea. I buy something there, and to be able to enable the sale and purchase, I have to link that to both these two sites.
Oh God.
It's like an involved and ridiculous procedure. So what we said is, how can we make it as simple as buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks? As an example, that's exactly what we are striving, and this entire partnership with Coinbase is going to enable that. So we try to look for friction and try to eliminate that friction either by ourselves if we can, or in partnership with somebody else.
Got it. You have talked about how, in fact, over the years we've heard about purpose-driven marketing for a long time now, and I think a lot of people are calling it out, and saying that it's not really working.
It's purpose washing.
Yes, and I don't think consumers are that naive to believe you just because you keep broadcasting it 1,000 times. My question, it's two-folded. One is, do you actually believe consumers care whether you are purpose-driven or not? Because most consumers look at companies as companies who are giving us a service for profit.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So why are brands and companies still insisting on force-fitting purpose when they are regularly just running a business, and that's perfectly okay?
See, first and foremost, it's important to realize consumers are not idiots.
Yeah.
They can see through you from a mile away. So there is this whole movement for a bank to say, I have to be politically correct and I have to do something on purpose. It may have anything to do with my business, it may have nothing to do with my business. I just want to do it because my CEO can put it in some speech as bites, sound bites, or I can put it in my annual report and say we have done something, right? It's a joke, unfortunately. And you find a vast majority of the brands which are jumping onto purpose bandwagon are exactly of this type. But the few brands which are doing it with authenticity, consistency, sticking with it for years, not say, okay, this is a new shiny penny, let me do it today. Tomorrow something else is popular, let me change my agenda and do it. Then people see that you're opportunistic, and when you change all these various things that you're doing, nothing sticks to your brand.
Sure.
It's wasted money. You're only kidding yourself that it actually the brand works. So this is one part of it. This is a reality very bluntly said. From a consumer's point of view, time and again we have studied, greed always trumps philanthropy. For the vast majority of people, other than people like Mother Teresa, God bless them. For the vast majority of the people, it is greed. What is in it for me? Am I getting a good value? Am I getting a good deal? Am I getting a bargain? That drives them quite a lot. But when everything else is equal, or when things are very close to each other, purpose can tilt and switch the preference. And we have witnessed it time and again. Like as I said, for example, if you're running the Stand Up to Cancer program, you say, my price is remaining the same, I'm getting all the same benefits as some other card. So if I'm using it here for this particular purpose, at least I'm contributing something to a cause, planting a tree, feeding a poor child, or finding cures for cancer. I'm a part of that movement. That is appealing. And secondly, there is a generational difference. My generation, for example, baby boomers, are less philanthropic and less society focused. They are much more selfish, in other words, compared to the younger generations. The Gen Zs, the millennials, these folks are much more outward focused. It's counterintuitive, but that's exactly how it is. Yes, they're heavily into partying, they're into gaming, they're into all kinds of things.
They're buying virtual stuff.
They're buying
for
virtual
lots
stuff.
Of money.
Yeah, but the reality is they are more societally focused. They are the ones who are calling out brands. They are the ones who are standing for societal causes in a big way. And they're saying this brand, like for example, cruelty free. It's all about not testing things on animals and stuff like that. It's become a very big deal. Or if you look at organic, the bulk of the organic movement is through the younger generations. They think organic is good for themselves and for the plants. The veganism that's happening, it's driven by the younger folks.
Yeah.
Like, if I look, we do these surveys constantly across different segments around the world. At one level, it's very delightful to see how positive these youngsters are looking at future and the positive things that they are focused on. We have hope for humanity from that point of view into the future. And a brand which taps into that psychology authentically, genuinely, consistently can actually win.
I have a contra view to this, Raja.
Yes.
I don't know, look at the world over, any country, right? And look at where we are heading as a society. I think we've regressed as a society. If you just look at what's happening, whether it's the war, whether what's happening in India or happening in the US or any other country, we've become very polarized. So,
True.
There's a rise of populism. I think we were much more noble, in the previous generations. People were not that opinionated. There wasn't so much hate speech. So when you say that the younger generations are more outward focused, have this activism streak in them,
Yes.
why can't we see it? Why can't we see the youngsters in our own countries stand up and fight for injustice? You don't see it. I think they're quite self-involved and entitled.
See, I completely endorse the term of entitled, because that's I keep telling the youngsters these days, you folks are all feeling too entitled, right? But the point is, if you look at the statistics actually, if you look at the polarization is not coming from the younger segments. The polarization is happening from the older segments of people, age-wise. I'm talking about the age groups being older, our generation or my generation. That's where actually the fragmentation is happening in a significant way. The younger generations are resisting and protesting.
Where? We can't
Pretty
see
significant. No, it's there across the board. It's there across the board. It might not be visible at scale in all the countries equally. But the fact is, you let's look at it this way. Most of the strikes, even if you go to India, either they are economically deprived or being incentivized to take part in something,
Yes.
which they may or may not understand the cause, or it is one side or the left-leaning, right-leaning party, whichever you talk about
Yeah.
it, they're actually taking up the cause and then trying to do something. But if you look at, segregate them, what is from the society point of view versus from something which is just for a political gain point of view, the societal point of view you find predominantly with the youngsters as opposed to the older people.
Okay, interesting perspective. My other question is, if brands authentically believe that they want to run their business with purpose and give back to society, the fact that they're wearing it on their shoulders and shouting it out and broadcasting it, doesn't it take away from the whole deal?
You are 100% right. You are 100% right. When you do good and they start bragging about it,
You've lost the
it's
value.
gone. You lost the value. The consumers have to speak and let them do the job. So for example, I'll give you, Mastercard, early on, we learned this lesson very quickly. So we went to World Food Program and we partnered with them and they said, we'll feed poor children. And we started with Africa. So we said in Europe, we'll run this promotion during Christmas time. Each time you use your Mastercard, we'll feed a poor child in Africa. We did it, it went very well. But then somewhere, somebody has mentioned, oh, we're actually doing it in a little bit of a chest thumping manner. Then what happens, another magazine picks up and says, Mastercard is playing Hunger Games. A few years back.
Sure.
It was a very good lesson.
Yeah.
Saying that, okay, you got to be really careful, because if you're doing good and bragging about it, it means it is self-serving. So today we don't talk about what we are doing, no advertising at all, about the causes that we are doing. For example, we say that, take Priceless Planet. Mastercard is committing to have 100 million plants or trees, plant 100 million trees around the world by 2025. It's a commitment we are making. It's not a brag or a credit that we are taking. But we also say, if you want to join the movement, please come. But when you are seeing Mastercard actually doing those and following up through action, you will start believing Mastercard. And people are, because we are already moving the whole needle in a significant way. And so you have to practice and let your work, good work, speak for your brand, as opposed to you going on the advertising spree and saying these are the great things that we are doing.
Sure. Look at everything that you're talking about, right? Web3 and all the surrounding paraphernalia. What's happening with the lovely old sweet agency model? We've been talking about the agency model for a long time, but they still exist and they're still running the same way, and there are still client-agency relationships. Do you still see that going forward?
I think it's going to transition and change pretty dramatically.
Yeah?
Yeah. So today what's happening is agencies firstly on one hand are consolidating big time. That will continue to happen, so there will be fewer players. And then, so that's one thing which is going to happen. Number two, many agencies are broadening out into areas beyond their traditional areas. Like for example, if you look at McCann, they went and bought Axiom, which is in data analytics and data services, nothing to do with the traditional agency business. The counter to that is companies like Accenture, Deloitte, they are providing advertising services.
Yeah.
End to end, right? So but they don't call themselves an ad agencies, they're providing marketing services.
Yes.
Then there are platforms which come to you and say the social media platforms, hey, we understand our consumers very well. To give you a good deal as a value added stuff, we will do the creative free for you. Okay, so that's one kind of a thing. The other thing I will say, so these are all disruption happening. But to me, the biggest disruption happens in a very different way. Firstly, when you have the entire advertising value chain, I'm just focusing on ad agencies, advertising value chain, for every $100 that the brand manager is investing, only about $40 to $60 are going to the publisher. The middlemen are taking the balance. Even if it's an average 50% of your money is going really to the intended party. The rest of the 50 is going to the intermediaries. With automation, with AI, and with blockchains, a massive number of these intermediaries will get shut down because you won't need them anymore.
Okay.
Plus, there is also a trust issue that is involved. Like for example, I believe in 2016 or 17, there was a report published by K9 under the auspices of ANA, which is American Association of National Advertisers in the US. They have established that there are a lot of kickbacks which flow in from the media publishers to the agencies.
Yeah.
There is a US Department of Justice investigation happening at this point in time. Those kind of issues will disappear when you have these smart contracts between the counterparties. That
So will these smart contracts be NFTs?
They could be very well be. They could very well be true, right? But they will reside on a blockchain, which simplifies the whole process and everything gets automated. That's one part of it. That's going to change big time in terms of the ecosystem. The second interesting thing which is also going to happen is the deployment of new technologies. Like I said, in the context of AI, we are using now AI to create a lot of banner ads and simple advertisements. So in a normal digital marketing, you create a series of, and then do A/B testing and test and control, and then find out what is it, and you keep refining it and optimizing till it beats the control in a good way. But then what happens is it's a time-consuming process, and it's also not too inexpensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive. When you have AI brought in, AI is able to create the best optimal templates in a matter of few seconds, so you're not paying anyone. Number two, AI is also then optimizing the channel mix, saying that if Sonali is coming, this is the ad she will see. If Raja is coming, this is the ad he will see. And it will optimize at our individual profiles in a brilliant way in real time. This is happening as we speak, and we launched this already in Asia at this point in time, and it's expanding to the rest of the world. So these kind of things are going to disrupt the agency quite a lot. There are a lot of companies which are looking to in-house their agencies.
Yeah.
Because if you can do all these things through machines, why can't you try and save?
Is Mastercard looking at it and housing it?
We have some portions are already in-housed, some portions are with our agencies. Like for example, if we card designs, we got a whole unit focusing only on card designs.
Oh wow.
And these are the most cutting edge different designs. Like most recently we launched something called Touch Card, a card meant for blind people. So how does a blind person know this is a debit card or a credit card or a prepaid card? How do they know which is the front of the card or the back of the card? Because these days there is no embossing on the cards. And which is top and bottom. So we created a simple system with a small notch on the side of the card. If the notch is on the right side, you're holding it the correct way. If it is a half circle, it is a debit card. If it is a half octagon, it's a credit card. If it is a V-shaped notch, it's a gift card. If it has a notch, it is a Mastercard. Very simple. So this was designed in-house. So we're building some of these in-house capabilities for over the years, but our core creativity is still with McCann, and that's where it will be.
As one has to up their creative horizons,
Right.
with so many new things coming up, do you think the current set of creative people globally are equipped to and agile enough to run with this? Because it's a big transition.
It is. See, my suspicion is a good majority of them are not equipped for this imminent future. And it is not just about becoming tech savvy, it's also to understand the possibilities of how to leverage these technologies and be creative in this new environment. If you don't understand metaverse and it all is totally alien to you, how are you going to come up with campaigns that are native to that environment and that are extremely engaging? I don't believe a whole bunch of creatives are aware of that or conversant enough to be able to create that kind of a concept. So I think there is a lot of talent upskill that needs to be done there. Absolutely.
And if you just look at consumer behavior over the last 2 years, and this is totally focused on to the pandemic times.
Right.
Have people started? How is it? What has happened with Mastercard, for instance? I know you're an enabler, but can you give me some insights into what modes of payments and usage have happened? What has increased? What has decreased in the last 2 years? And hence, what is the impact in the post-pandemic era?
Perfect. So firstly, the digital adoption, meaning for online purchases, e-commerce has dramatically jumped up. What would have taken typically 7 years got accomplished in these 2 years. So the secular growth of e-commerce has been dramatic. Number one.
Are you sure, Raja? So many people have told me that there was a big spike, and now once things have opened up, they've gone back. And there's been a drop.
No. We track our e-commerce numbers. They continue to grow at a very healthy clip, and not in one country but across the globe.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I'll take my own example, right? Pre-pandemic, I used to do online shopping, but only for some categories.
True.
But during pandemic, I got used to actually order groceries online, vegetables online, produce and stuff like that. Now what do? I got lazy. I said, let me just place online order for groceries and produce. So my total categories in which I'm using has gone up, my frequency has gone up, my spend has gone up overall. So this is one big change. Second, security. So from a security point of view, we have upped our game pretty dramatically to be able to detect fraud, to be able to give consumer a safe experience. So we have bought in biometric authentication and different things we are trying to do and doing, which is giving a lot of motivation for consumers and confidence to continue using in this space. So that's
Sure.
number two. There are categories where micropayments are going up like crazy, like games, e-games and e-sports. You find tremendous amount of micropayments. Unlike in many sports, in e-sports, for example, the players get donations from the viewers. So I might just donate 50 cents, somebody else donate 10 cents. These are all micropayments and they're all going. And it all gets into a significant sizable amount for the player when you get the whole total. And that requires a little bit of a different approach. And fortunately for us at Mastercard, we signed up with Riot Games much before any big brand has got into the esports area. So now we are the biggest sponsor of Riot Games, and we have League of Legends as well, and it's booming like anything. So we have been in these spaces a little before itself. So streaming services have really zoomed in a big way. Remote learning services have gone big way. Then you've got remote shopping, of course, has gone big way. So these things are enabling us to really purpose our card much more appropriately to those different contexts and create value propositions that are of highest value, both motivation and reassurance for the consumers.
Fair enough. As usual, so much of learning for me and I'm sure for my audience. Thank you so much, Raja. And looking forward to meet you in India next.
Thank you very much, Sonal. As usual, it's fantastic being here with you. And hopefully I'll be there in India end of this year and we'll see you then.
Lovely, lovely.
Thank you.